listening to the Ecosystem Approach show. I'm Jason.
And I'm Patricia. Tune in every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time and 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Transformation Talk Radio.
We discovered that human potential is severely limited when you program humans like a machine, which is standard practice today for self-improvement.
The Ecosystem Approach teaches you how to uncover your infinite potential by using natural methods that are truly revolutionary. Join us now for the Ecosystem Approach show. We are so sick of and hearing the words, quote, evidence-based or scientifically proven as a badge of honor, with the implication that it's somehow superior to everything else. It is time for another perspective.
Yes, absolutely. So
okay, and by the way,
stay tuned. Yes.
Yes,
we're all revved up about this. Okay.
Does unproven mean? Let me back up. It is time for another perspective. Does unproven mean bad or something you should avoid? Well, when it comes to drugs or alcohol, I would say yes, but not in this case. Science is always confined to what can be seen in the tangible world, not subtle energies or intangible concepts. Okay? If you listen all the way to the end, we'll talk about our vision for using a subtle energy approach that develops human capability and evolution. By the way, it's needed everywhere. This could be integrated within scientific training and create a new frontier for the sciences and all other disciplines. Jason, what is missing with science?
And we're going to talk about that today.
Okay.
I'm a little scrappy about this. You know, we've been doing this work for 25 years, and whether it's been said to us directly, I don't believe in that stuff, or indirectly by scientists out there who are making fun of anything energy, you know, astrology, yes, energy, blah, blah, blah.
Correct.
You know, I've kind of had enough, and there's another perspective. And today we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
Now, the other thing is, and I should say this to be fair.
Okay.
I don't want to be fair. I'm kind of a little irked, but
well said.
You know, we all things being equal, we're the first ones to look at science. And I actually have a subscription to Science magazine.
Okay.
I really enjoy that, but I usually use it to bounce off of and say, well, you're missing something here, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So you asked me what's missing with science.
Yes, I did.
The frames and the approaches are off. It's science owns the frame, so if the information doesn't fit in their frames,
okay, then that means
it becomes invisible and discredited. And that's what kind of rubs me the wrong way, okay?
Yeah.
How are the frames off? Well, there's three parts of empirical evidence.
Okay.
Observability, verifiability, and objectivity.
Okay.
So as intuitives, we observe subtle energy every single day. We see it operating in the world.
Yes.
And we know
everywhere we go, by the way.
We know that it's been trained out of us, first of all.
Yes.
And second of all, it's been suppressed. We've been programmed. We've been brainwashed. By the way, we did a show about brainwashing a few weeks ago. Look in the comments, and you can we'll leave a link for that show.
There you go.
But that's what science has done, not science directly, but indirectly is part of our culture.
Yes.
So many people have said, I believe in this stuff, but I don't want to tell anybody because I'm embarrassed.
You know what? I hear that all the time.
You know?
So let's talk about verifiability. Did I say that correct?
It's having similar observations.
Okay.
As intuitives, we've been doing this work for 25 years. We've had all these people come to us, and the truth is that they come to us, and we tell them what we see,
Yes.
and they basically say, "Oh, well, I went to another psychic, intuitive, medium, clairvoyant, whatever you want to call it, and they said the same thing."
Yeah.
Not exactly, not word for word.
But
They basically saw what we saw, and but it's not verifiable in the way that meets the scientific, what they would call rigor. I don't call it that, but
criteria.
yes, it's a form of closed-mindedness. And then objectivity, objectivity, being free of personal bias and not being subjective. Here's the truth that we see.
Okay.
Nothing in the world is totally objective.
No.
Nature is not the same time after time after time. If you distill it down to a certain process,
Yes.
maybe it has some similarities.
Yes, it
But
does.
people are different. Animals are different.
Yes,
Nature is different.
that is correct.
And so I see that the personal bias is actually, it's one of those situations where you're saying, no, it's not me. No, it's you. No, and they say, no, it's you. It's that sort of thing.
Okay.
But we see that this objectivity isn't what it claims to be.
Okay, so Jason, what is the flaw with empirical evidence?
Empirical evidence is roughly defined as tangible, measurable, and verifiable.
Okay.
We see the whole world as being intangible. Everything that's in the subtle energy realm, feelings, thoughts, beliefs, intentions, are unmeasurable and fleeting and cannot be verified in conventional ways.
No.
As intuitives, to us, it's self-evident.
Yes.
You don't. Yeah. I feel like that fairy tale, the king's new clothes.
Yes.
Where these con artists came in and said, "Hey,
we're going to make you this most amazing, I want to say outfit, that's the word of today, but we're going to clothe you in this most amazing thing." And the bottom line is that you can't see it, but it is just unbelievable.
No, what they said is this was the con. They said that if people that can't see it,
yes,
there's something defective with them.
Yes.
So everyone pretended like they saw the clothes. Well, they were beautiful.
That's right. Except,
well, this little kid, and I feel like this little kid that says, "Hey, the king's naked," And so science has put so much money and so much effort to say this is the way the world is.
Yes.
And I'm saying it ain't that way.
Yes.
It's not true.
Well, you know what? Science and their own frame is based on the definition of evidence is blind in the world.
Yes.
Well,
that intuition, not evidence.
Excuse me, intuition. Yes. My apologies. Intuition is blind, and I'm going to say it's the exact opposite. Intuition sees things that science, if they can't prove it with a formula, then they say it doesn't exist or they dismiss it.
It's a form of a narrow focus where there's all this things going around.
It's ridiculous.
And we're intuitive. We see things all the time, and we see things differently all the time.
Meaning you and I?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
And does it mean either one of us is wrong? It's just a different perspective often.
Correct.
And frankly, that's where science is going. They're still saying that what's been proven lately about the nature of reality and things like that is not the nature of reality is doesn't happen until you measure something at the quantum level.
Yes.
Yes. And so in other words, the electrons and how it sets up does not happen until it's actually observed. Well, that wasn't really surprising to us, and of course that's the way we see subtle energy, and there's no doubt. Now maybe it doesn't meet scientific rigor yet, and they say that this doesn't prove metaphysics. A scientist would say this does not prove metaphysics, but it's moving in that direction, and I know already that's where it's going to go.
Yes.
It's at some point they're going to have some type of structure that's going to imply. Already it implies this, but now you'll be able to see that subtle energy actually exists.
Well, I have one more question for you, Jason. the bias for science,
Yes.
it's ownership. It has the ownership of the frame. So what exactly does that mean?
The frame means that it has to be tangible, it has to be verifiable, it has to be duplicated over and over again.
In order to be proven to be true.
Right.
Or
And
there.
we see subtle energy that happens in different ways all the time.
Well, I'll jump in and say people's personalities, people's stories, they change. The way they present things changes from the guy that's standing next to him, and that's what we see. We see those things, and science can't see those things.
Well,
and I'm going to say as of yet.
Here's the thing, okay?
Okay.
Subtle energy constantly interacts with
Yes.
the natural world.
Yes.
So when you say it has to be verifiable, it has to be repeatable.
Yes.
Then what's happening is what's happening is that you're eliminating all sorts of data or information
That's very valuable
that you would have otherwise.
That's exactly
Now,
right.
and I acknowledge that there are things that you need to have if you're going to make a compound over and over again, and
Of course.
and you want it to a certain spec, and you can do that,
Well,
and you have to narrow it down.
And I'm going to add that there's a place for everything.
Yes.
But right now, people that have intuition, see subtle energy, deal with subtle energy, the discount isn't just hurting those people but it's also hurting the world because it's so valuable. That's what we're really saying here. So, and I just want to say, Jason, I don't like that the scientific frame is flawed because it doesn't actually take in all of the information.
It doesn't.
So, Jason, what is the summary of this segment?
Science definition of empirical evidence as tangible, measurable, and verifiable makes it blind to the intangible, unmeasurable, and fleeting nature of reality, which we perceive as self-evident. Science owns its method of proof, which excludes significant amounts of reality, including the subtle energy world. We see it as a form of scientific bias. The scientific definition of empirical evidence is a flawed perception of reality.
Exactly. In the next segment, we're going to talk about how science and scientific training can narrow your focus and literally reduce your intelligence. Well, that's quite a concept. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about how science and scientific training can narrow your focus and literally reduce your intelligence. Okay, Jason, that's a big one. But I'm going to ask the question: why is the expression, quote, "it's just your imagination," so toxic?
So many little kids have been brainwashed, including me, including her, that any perception of subtle energies has been discredited and has been reduced to something not to be trusted. It's only in your imagination. So,
go ahead, tell your story.
Okay,
You've got an example.
So, when I was little, I remember I would see a face in the window, and there was a hanging lamp over my desk, and it was right by that lamp. And I would call my parents, and my dad would come, and he'd say, he'd move the lamp and say, "It's just in your imagination," and the face would go away. But I now know, with the intuition that I have, was some connection that I had to, you might want to call them guides, to part of my team that was coming to either watch over me or make their presence known.
Yes.
And I
care of you in some way.
And I could see it.
Yes.
Yes. But it was just in my imagination.
Right.
So as a kid, you see that stuff and you see it over and over again. It's just your imagination. Well, it can't be trusted.
Right.
the truth is, we have people come to us all the time and they get these sensations and visions and
Correct.
dreams and all these things.
Yes.
And we're the first one to say, "Oh, let's look at that.
Yeah.
What is that? Let's look at that. Let's see what that means."
Yes. And I've had a lot of people say to me, well, I didn't expect you to say that.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So I have a story too. I know I've told this story before, but there was a woman that came in with her daughter to my house, our house, when I was a young kid. I believe it was before I went to school for the first time. And my mother was standing there talking to the lady, and I saw this little boy poking at the little girl that was with the friend. We'll put it that way. And so I turned around or I said to my mom, "Mom, make that little boy stop. Stop poking her." And my mother said, "Shh." And so, okay. So the little boy, he just kept going. And the energy of the whole thing was very irritating to me. And so I said to my mom, "Mom, make the little boy stop." And my mother turned around. She had great big eyes, and she let me know with her eyes. She also said, "Shut up." And so I knew better than to push my mother. And so okay. So after the people left, my mother said, "Come with me. I want to talk to you."
So the important point here is that your mother could see.
Well, I was just going to
Yeah.
say,
Okay.
my mother could also see. And so I'm standing there and I'm waiting, for whatever was going to happen. And she said, "You need to know that not everybody can see what you see. And therefore, you can't tell anyone, because if you do, they're going to think you're crazy."
Do you think that's brainwashing or not?
And
You know?
I have to tell you, it was like, oh my gosh. Well, I had been able to see those things. I remember even before there were things that I could see, but I knew better than to say anything. And so I want to bring up this really major point that we want to get across to you today. Your imagination is the portal to the subtle energy world. And when you understand what I was seeing, what Jason was seeing, or if you heard what we were seeing was actually there, then you understand that even as young children, and especially as young children, those portals are open even more. But we all have been trained that we have to tell our children to not believe what they see is true.
We've had so many people over the years come to us who were educated,
Very.
well thought of, even had positive reputations.
Yes.
But they were so afraid. They believed in this stuff. They would come to us. They saw the
They
benefits.
innately know these things.
Yes.
Yes.
But then they would be, they had such an aversion to saying it in public or
Correct.
telling the people they work with or putting it out there or whatever
Exactly.
for fear of being judged, criticized, or whatever.
Correct.
That's just bias. That's nothing else but bias. And we did the same
fear.
thing.
Yes. Yes.
How we've named ourselves and how we've called ourselves has been changing over the world, over the years.
Yes. Yes. And a lot of it has to do with exactly that. So, Jason, talk about scientific training can be toxic.
It narrows your focus. It reduces your natural ability of intuition, which comes from emotion.
Yes.
And it rejects a positive and essential part of your cognitive function.
Correct.
Everybody is intuitive. Intuition is natural. It is a natural. We should all have six senses.
Yes.
And
actually we do, but it's been.
And I would say it's been suppressed.
Yes.
If it not for that bias, I think we would all see close to what we see.
Yes, yes, I would say the same. Jason, here's another major point here.
Yes.
Scientific training is like eating processed food by trying to get to
highly processed
food, excuse me. By trying to get to objectivity, it takes out all the value from subjectivity and intuition, so it becomes primitive. Well, Uh, uh,
If you've ever gone to a hospital,
oh yeah.
when they have, when they're clean, everything is sanitized.
Yes.
It doesn't feel good.
No.
It doesn't feel natural to the human being. And even all the problems that we have with traditional medicine today
Yes.
has to do with that that sanitation that
Mhm.
takes all the emotion
Well,
out of trying to heal you, and healing by definition is very emotional.
exactly. Exactly. So, Jason, talk about refined intuition, that it comes from emotion.
We teach about refined intuition because we have done it for over 25 years.
Correct.
And not only can an intuition be developed,
Yes.
but it can be refined. And you do that by removing negative energy that's attached to you that most people are completely oblivious to.
Yes.
And we see that after 25 years, our abilities are exploding.
Yes.
In other words, our intuition is not static. It's been increasing, increasing, increasing. Patricia's been intuitive all her life, but since she's been doing this, it's been, oh my gosh, it's
All
exploded.
over the place.
Me
Yes.
too.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
we have this amazing intuition. I can't wait for the next 25 years
Exactly.
because it's going to get even better and better and better.
Right.
And so if you're listening today, that's your opportunity.
Right. So, Jason, give us an example of you have a Thomas Edison story.
Yes. Well, I used to study Thomas Edison when I was a kid. I was fascinated by the story.
Okay.
And his story basically was he went through all these different compounds to figure out what filament he could use to make an electric light bulb.
Okay.
He had this theory that you could push electricity through a filament and it would light up,
Okay.
and it would produce light,
Okay.
which is so much better than kerosene and all the other stuff.
Well,
that
they were
were
so yeah,
dangerous. Yeah.
dangerous. Yes.
Okay. Well, and he came up with this idea that hard work and persistence
Oh.
is the way to get things done and to make these scientific discoveries. And I would say, hey, Thomas, if you had your intuition,
No, if you used your intuition,
you could have laid down or sat down in a comfortable chair next in your laboratory, or even gone home every night instead of working,
and staying there. Yes.
and just meditated and asked for the
For the answer.
yeah, to be led to the right type of filament.
Exactly. Yes.
Duh. It's so obvious, and we put Thomas Edison on a pedestal, but if he would have used his intuition, it would have been so much better. If you're a scientist right now or do some sort of research or whatever, having refined intuition is the way
Yes.
to supercharge
Okay.
that research.
So, one more question, Jason. Talk about the self-evident truth.
There's a whole world of subtle energy that we have felt and the effects, but we deny this part of ourselves.
We've been trained to deny it.
We get these impressions all the time, and we say, no, that can't be right. That's just my imagination.
Yes.
And it's been so ingrained that for many of us, it's subconscious. It just happens all the time.
Exactly.
Something bad's going to happen today. I should be careful, or blah, blah, blah.
Right.
We get these hits, but we don't know what to do with it.
Yes, we
it's
don't.
time to understand how these things work and work with them in a way that instead of pushing them away and denying them with a
Yes.
form of bias, literally bias, the worst type of bias, we should embrace them.
Yes.
And all scientists, it should be required to help them develop their refined intuition.
I agree. Jason, what is the summary of this segment?
We have been collectively brainwashed by defining childhood visions, dreams, and ghosts as just in our imagination. It has created a bias toward intuitive thought and imagination as something that should be discounted and ignored. As intuitives, we know that trying to eliminate emotion from a situation is like eating refined food with no nutritional value versus organic food with all the nutrients.
Right.
By developing refined intuition using the ecosystem approach, a person can have more objectivity because they become more self-aware and can compensate for biases. Imagination is the portal to the subtle energy world. We see this as self-evident that subtle energies exist and affects everything that happens daily.
I love that. In the next segment, we're going to talk about our vision for the education and development of scientists and other professionals using the ecosystem approach with a subtle energy in the center to capture the true potential for humanity right now. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about our vision for the education and development of scientists and other professions using the ecosystem approach with a subtle energy in the center to capture the true potential for humanity right now. I love that statement.
Yes.
I really do. So, Jason, what is happening today that is so different?
It's the age of Aquarius, and we've talked a lot about the age of Aquarius on other shows, where there's a new dawn of thought and wisdom.
Yes.
There is an acceptance of energy and openness to the possibilities of alien life from other planets.
Yes.
The government has even acknowledged that the existence of phenomena that they can't logically explain.
Right.
Right. And again, that's the bias. How long has this been suppressed?
Well,
we've been talking about the aliens and the ETs for such a long time, but all this information has been suppressed.
Right.
And how many people see something like a UFO?
Okay, exactly.
What do they call it? Whatever they call it now. And they said, I saw this. I thought I was crazy. Right. Don't think I'm crazy. They're always apologetic for seeing something that they,
Yes.
No, it's time for us not to apologize for stuff like that anymore.
Well, because the bottom line is it does happen.
Yes.
And the thing that I want to say is instead of being afraid of it, and that's what I see that so many are. I'll say it that way.
You see something bad in your childhood? Oh, it's just your imagination. Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. Exactly. It starts very young, but it progresses as we go along. And I'm not saying jump in and go, "Hi, I'm George," and my if you see an alien, shake his hand. That isn't what I'm saying. I'm saying the fear keeps you from an observation
an objectivity
that could really make a difference for you. And that's the part that I think is so very important, not only for you, but also the scientists out there and all of the people who are dealing with, well, I'm going to say humanity right now. So, and I like that you explained the what's happening that's so different. So, Jason, what is our vision for a new world of science?
Think about the possibilities if we required scientists to have personal evolution, and that personal evolution develops their intuition, creates refined intuition.
Yes.
The field of technology as we know it today would explode with possibilities that are endless and even beyond our imagination currently.
So it would help our world, all of our world, progress to a much better place.
Yes.
A more knowing place.
We're afraid of AI and what it can do, and that it's going to be too much for humanity.
Correct.
And it probably is, given our low level of evolution.
Okay, I'll agree with you.
The only way that we can keep ahead of AI is by having personal evolution for everyone. So we have a critical mass of people that are pursuing personal evolution.
Yes.
The movie Contact, and I know this dates us because I think it was over 25 years ago.
Oh, at least.
It was done. Was about with Jodie Foster, Matthew McConaughey, and it was about this brilliant scientist who was Jodie Foster, and she was in the SETI program, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence.
Correct.
And her advisor, the guy that was in charge of the program,
Tom Skerritt. Was his name.
Yeah, he that's the actual guy, but he actually he told her don't do this. You're too good of a scientist. You'll be discredited. You'll be
Right.
looked down upon.
Yes.
And then she found something and she was able to prove it. And
Yes.
then all of a sudden the whole world is watching
Right.
and he's the first one to push her aside,
And take credit.
and classic low evolution
Yes.
of scientists.
Yes.
The military guys wanted to shoot it.
Yeah.
They couldn't figure out what it was.
Yes, yes, yes.
The government showed how dysfunctional we were.
Yes.
And
And by the way, not just us, but everyone around the world.
here's the problem.
Okay.
Currently, there's no real knowing of how to create personal evolution or understand it, or how to bring it about.
Yes.
And I've seen stuff, frankly, my peers in the new age energy, consciousness, subtle energy field.
Correct.
They don't know. They have quick fixes, and I know those things don't work. And
We tried them.
yes, and so and in fact, our next show is going to be about. We went ahead and channeled Bashar, Abraham, and Seth, who are groundbreaking, who are the people that really put the consciousness movement on the map.
That's correct.
And you'll be shocked about what they say about
Well,
what we're doing. Yeah.
yeah.
So, but so for this movie, there was not enough scientists who had enough open-mindedness to understand this or interpret it or work with it. And then what happened is that they built this machine that they got the spec from outer space.
That's right.
They built this machine, and it was supposed to be a transport to the star Vega,
Yes.
and it just fell through the
device.
the device, and they thought it was a failure.
Right.
And then at the end, she had this camera on her, and it was garbled. It had static.
Well, and we need to just say, originally she found static as well, but there was information embedded in the static, and that was her. She had two discoveries. She found the static, and then found that there was information in it.
But the point is, with all this, is that everybody else thought this was a failure because they didn't have intuition.
Yes.
But then what actually happened, they showed it. And again, I know this is Hollywood. This isn't real life. This is not how it really works. But I can see how these entities from other planets see how low level we are, see how unevolved we are.
Correct.
And they're not going to come up straight and say, "Hey, here we are.
Yeah.
Let's talk."
Yes.
Because they don't trust us. We'd probably try and shoot them.
Think.
We'd go get scared.
Right.
War of the Worlds was a great example.
A really good one. Yes,
great example of how low level we are. So
in fact, really, you're right about that.
The major point is we created the ecosystem approach to teach everyone so that they could have a path to evolution to the extent that they desire it. Oh my gosh, that's what we're doing. And if this is speaking to you right now, if you're thinking, oh my gosh, these guys know something, these guys have something that's pretty special, go to our YouTube channel right now, The Ecosystem Approach with Jason and Patricia Rohn, and subscribe to our channel. We're going to be talking about this. We're going to be doing clearings every single show.
Yes.
We work with the energy, and we basically are talking about how to apply a subtle energy approach to your whole life. And we don't just limit it to these types of topics, but we limit to
there is no limit.
There is no limit. We talk about money, relationships, health.
Yes.
Understanding yourself, which is a big part.
Yes.
And by the way, when you start to evolve, you start to see yourself in ways that you couldn't even imagine before. That's, I think, our biggest takeaway
to me
is that our self-knowledge has so increased.
Yes.
I agree. It's a treasure. It's like a pot of gold in our backyard.
I'm going to say it from this perspective, if that's okay with you. Every morning, I wake up and I think to myself three things. One, what's in store for today? And sometimes it goes, oh, it's grocery shopping. Okay, I admit there is that, but we do have to eat. But the other thing that I think is, what am I going to uncover today? What am I going to see? Is it going to be about me? Is it going to be about something else in the world in which I live? And I find it to be so, well, it is a new frontier for me. I absolutely love it.
And we're doing this amazing stuff together
Yes.
where we're going to look.
That,
Yeah, that's
Oh my
our
God.
new frontier. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, and I was just going to say, and then I think even before I get out of bed, what is the information that we, Jason and I, what are we going to uncover together today? And will it make a difference for the world? Will it make a difference for just us? Will it matter? And I'm always on the edge of that. Before I started the ecosystem approach, sure, I could see things. Absolutely. Did I understand them all? Absolutely not. But I certainly have been on this journey to understand life, myself, my relationship, and how I can help, how we can help others. Join us.
We've been doing these shows for a long time. This is our 353
353rd,
yes show, but we're still getting new stuff and we're
Still.
getting more information. So be sure and subscribe.
Yes.
And have your friends subscribe.
Yes.
This is going to be a wild journey, and we're going to take you with us. And it's not for us to be the gurus. We're trying to help everybody that we talk to
Yes.
be their own guru, so that they can look and see what's out there for themselves
Exactly.
and know this is true.
Absolutely. So one more time, I'm going to say, join us and give yourself the opportunity to, well, let's see your life from a different perspective.
If all scientists or most scientists started to evolve themselves,
Yes.
it would change the landscape of the scientific thought
Yes, it would.
in a huge way.
Yes, it
that
would.
I say would be.
I'm going to say, bring it on.
It's beyond our own imagination at this point.
That's right. Jason, what is the summary of this segment?
We are on the edge of a new technological frontier that demands a critical mass of scientists in the general populace to evolve in preparation. This is needed. Evolution is to stay ahead of this new wave of technology.
Yes.
However, there's no real understanding of how to evolve or even what human evolution looks like. Currently, knowledge of subtle energy and consciousness is woefully inadequate and offers quick fixes that are not effective.
Yes.
The ecosystem approach was designed to teach people how to evolve and have progress and real growth.
In the next segment, we're going to show you how to do some clearings to help you understand your evolution. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to show you how to do some clearings to help you understand your own evolution. Jason?
So, if this is speaking to you right now, if this idea that, oh my gosh, there's a bias, maybe you believe that the subtle energy world, consciousness, new age, metaphysics,
Awareness.
and maybe you follow astrology or something else like that.
Sure.
This is your place. This is your home.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna talk about how you can actually not just do what we call sometimes some of this stuff is airy fairy and say, well, you just have to do this. It's simple. It's just how you can evolve in 5 seconds or less.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. We
No.
know that, but we have a path that really works.
Yes, we do.
And
Yes, we do.
and be sure and listen to our next show, because we channeled Abraham, Bashar, and Seth, and what they said to us, you'll be shocked. It's really, really surprising, especially if you've been listening to some of their material or heard
read or
the secret was based on Abraham.
Yes, and great information, by the way. But
But
we're going to take it.
there was stuff missing. So
Yeah, we're
okay.
going to take it farther.
Yes.
Let me just say it that way.
So
I'm really excited about it. Everyone,
yes.
join us.
So if you want, go to our YouTube channel, The Ecosystem Approach with Jason and Patricia Rohn. Subscribe, like us today. We
Yes.
appreciate those likes.
Yes.
But so you can hear all the new stuff that we have coming.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
And there is. So with that said, Jason, let's talk about how to do the clearing.
Clearing is very simple. Your posture doesn't matter. You don't have to be in a reverent position.
Correct.
It's you're just working with the energy. You're not making yourself subordinate to some sort of higher power.
Not at all.
We believe in God. We see that God exists, but that's not what this is.
No.
God has given us these tools to work with the subtle energy world, and we're showing you how to use those tools.
Exactly. And by the way, it is for everyone.
So you can stand, sit, you walking, you can be laying down.
Right.
We do it. We go for a walk every morning, and we're off and clearing while we're doing that.
Yes.
And we do it all the time in the shower. You just, dishes, that sort of thing. But I don't do dishes. But
oh, okay.
If I did, I would
After
be clearing.
25 years, now he tells me he doesn't do dishes.
That's why I have a dishwasher. So anyways,
and by the way, one of the things that we've learned in all of this is we love to laugh. We laugh at, I know it's silly things, but we love to laugh. Join us.
Yes, join us to have some fun with us. So
yes.
So what we say is, okay, well, we have this statement that we say. And by the way, if you want to see the statement, see the clearings that we're going to do right now, or even the processor, which is a big part, and
I'll explain
that's going to put up the picture of the processor. If you go to our website, theecosystemapproach.org, and sign up for our free section, you get a weekly newsletter.
Yes.
And we have it all there. It's a picture of the processor, what you say.
Correct.
And the words for this clearing for the last week.
Yes.
And do it over and over again, because the more you clear, the more it'll be effective.
Well, and it helps you become aware because you're removing negative energy.
Yes.
So I'm going to jump in and talk about the processor for a minute. Use the processor. The processor is there for a reason. What it does is it enables you to take the negative energy that you take off of you or out of you, so to speak, energetically, and you put it into the top of what kind of looks like a garbage can on wheels. Well, yeah, but when you put your negative energy in there, it goes through and it gets cleaned and it comes out neutral. Now, there is so much negative energy here in the world today that putting it back into the earth, that does not serve a thing.
We've heard people, put it back in the earth, put it to the ends of the universe,
things like that. No,
just transform it.
Transform it. That's the answer. And by doing that, remember, you've done all this work. If you don't do that, you're going to get up and walk into it, because I guarantee you missed something. And so the important part is that this is a positive way for you to take care of you. You start with you, and then you work out from there. So
when we say the statement, and the verb is to eliminate.
There you go.
In your mind's eye, in your imagination. Oh my gosh, there it is. In your imagination, gathered up from the tips of your toes, all the emotions, or in this case, it would be veils and illusions or barriers,
boundaries, things like that.
Whatever it is, and blow them into the processor. Right. It's that simple. If you blow harder, it doesn't make it move more.
It doesn't.
And the processor is in your imagination, so you can put it wherever you want.
And I happen to see that negative energy moves easier to the left. So my processor sits on my left. Now, it doesn't mean that there haven't been times that I haven't had to move it around because I didn't want to dump it on some little old lady sitting next to me or standing next to me, like in the grocery store, things like that.
And sometimes in your imagination, of course, you can make the processor bigger or smaller.
Exactly. I'd forgotten.
And that works out really well. So
that's exactly right. So, Jason, let's get started.
I direct all my resources in all dimensions to eliminate the veils and illusions, so I can see that developing my intuition using the ecosystem approach is essential because it's a portal to the subtle energy world.
Now, you're going to start at the tips of your toes. You're going to take a breath up and throw that negative energy that's blocking you, veils and illusions, from using your intuition into the processor. I'm going to move along and shorten it up just a little bit, and to eliminate any doubt or reservations I have because I've been brainwashed to believe that my imagination and strange perceptions I have are false, and not see these perceptions as something to help my life and well-being. From the tips of your toes, and throw it away. By the way, we forgot to tell you one thing. We store these negative energies in our body. That's why we remove them from our body. Go ahead, Jason.
And to eliminate the veils and illusions, so I can see that understanding the subtle energy world opens me up to profound self-knowledge.
Yes.
And my unique life purpose that is my direct path to joy and happiness.
Yes, take a breath and throw it in that processor. And to eliminate the veils and illusions, so I can see that the age of Aquarius brings about the potential for a modern age that is unlike any other time in history. And it's time for me to pursue my personal evolution, to integrate in a positive way, to harness my potential. Starting right now, tips of your toes, and throw it away. Jason?
And to eliminate the barriers, so I can see the huge potential being unleashed with the intentional evolution of scientists and other professions, but most importantly, yourself.
Take a breath.
Woohoo, yes.
And throw it away. Now we're going to activate life force. Follow along. I direct all my resources in all dimensions to activate life force. It comes into the top of your head, so I can be happy and healthy and have hope to unleash a part of myself that has been dormant through my personal evolution using the ecosystem approach. Right now, pull it in, and tips of your toes, blow any negative energy left over.
Okay, so again, if you want more of this, if you're saying, "Oh my gosh, this is what I need,"
Yeah,
I'm a scientist, but I need to have this other.
right.
I need to evolve. I need to have my intuition intact. I need to use this in my daily life. It could be any profession. It helps with everything.
Yes.
We can't imagine. We don't say, "Oh, I'm using my intuition now." Everything that we do is with our intuition. So if you want more of this, go to our website, theecosystemapproach.org, sign up for our free section. We don't sell your email address, and we don't spam you, any of that.
Nothing.
And then if you haven't done this already, go to our YouTube channel, The Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia Rohn.
Yes.
And so please subscribe, please like us for today.
Yeah.
And we're going to have an amazing time together.
Join us and bring a friend. We'll connect next Monday at 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I should have said that. This is Transformation Talk Radio, and you're listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia.
Living like an ecosystem is the key to a better life for you.
Thank you for listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. I'm Patricia. Tune in every week as we discuss practical ways to apply the ecosystem approach and develop your potential to live your life on your terms. For more information, visit our website at theecosystemapproach.org.